Super Mario Kart. Not only is it the third best-selling Super Nintendo game of all time, but it's almost entirely responsible for the kart racing video game genre. It was also a great showcase for the system's Mode 7 graphics mode, which allowed for impressive 3D environments for a console of the time. Of course, if you were a PC gamer like me and wanted a similar kart racer, then screw you, man. That is until 1994 with the release of Wacky Wheels, developed by Beavis Soft in the UK and published by Texas-based Apogee Software for PCs running MS-DOS. Initially, this was a shareware game you could register by mail order, but this is the upgraded retail release distributed by FormGen. It includes everything from the full version of the game, plus new tracks and other sweetness to make you feel superior to early adopters. And it also comes on these two beautiful 3.5-inch floppy disks from Apogee. These never fail to make my heart flutter. They also packed in an Apogee registration card, an ad for Computer Gaming World magazine, and this delightful full-color instruction manual. No matter how small a computer game was back then, it still wasn't out of the ordinary to get a nice box with some quality goods inside. I love this stuff. Wacky Wheels whips up a wild world of wonderfulness in the form of an Apogee logo, followed by a title screen showing our racers darting out of the zoo at breakneck speed. From the main menu, you can choose from 4 different modes: single player, 2-player, wacky duck shoot, and combat. Let's just dive into single player for now, which gives you 8 animals that have disturbingly learned to drive go-karts. Since the apocalypse is clearly upon us here, choose whichever creature engaging in motorsport bothers your soul the least. There are 3 classes or difficulties to choose from, as well as a time trial for competing against the clock, and a kid mode, which only has you pressing left and right and not bothering with braking or acceleration. Dude, Wacky Wheels was ahead of its time. That's identical to modern mobile racing games like NFS No Limits. After that sad realization, choose your engine size and consequently the game's speed, followed by the track set you want to play. Finally, it's time to play some Super Wacky Kart. Just hammer the accelerator and try your best to cross the finish line first, all while roaming around colorful pseudo 3D environments and collecting pickups to take down competing drivers. And yes, those random hedgehogs can be run over to use as ammunition because the animal kingdom is somehow just as bizarre as the mushroom kingdom. Now, I've never been that much into kart racers, and Wacky Wheels never did much to change my mind there, but hey, back in the day, this was fun. It was charming, and when you went into the water, you turned into a periscope, so it was all good. Plus, I was always happy to support any game that showed that a DOS PC could do what the consoles could, even if it wasn't quite up to par with the hottest games from Nintendo and Sega. And right off the bat, Wacky Wheels does not hold a candle to the game it's trying so desperately to imitate. The first issue is the handling, which just doesn't feel as tight as it should for a kart racer, if you ask me. And there are no buttons for drifting or power sliding, so making sharp turns has to be done either at a very slow speed or by using the handbrake. And the handbrake is just strange, because it only rotates you at a hard 90-degree angle left or right. Sometimes this works great, other times this sends you into a wall because you were 1 pixel off. This is especially aggravating due to how you don't bounce off of walls and obstacles like you do in Mario Kart, but instead you just kinda stick to them, or even straight up explode when you hit something wrong and you lose a life, and that's no fun. But the single biggest problem is the frame rate, which putters around at around half of what Mario Kart does. As a result, the faster karts and more complicated tracks cause no shortage of eye strain when playing for any real length of time. But still, this is a really impressive bit of programming for a VGA game that can run on a 386, but I can't say I'd ever want to play this over something like Mario Kart nowadays. At the time, I had no choice, because hey, couldn't justify a Super Nintendo when we already had a computer that could play games and do our taxes. And in that sense, Wacky Wheels was absolutely wonderful back then. It may not have had iconic characters like Mario and Luigi, but it did have well-drawn caricatures of recognizable animals, and it may not have had mushrooms, stars, and Koopa Troopa shells, but it did have fireballs, ice cubes, and hedgehogs. And it may not have had that soundtrack, but it did have this soundtrack. Oh yes, this is one of the biggest things that Wacky Wheels has over Super Mario Kart, in my opinion, the superb soundtrack by Mark Klim. In Adlib or Sound Blaster mode especially, the music is just awesome and really gets me in the mood to play this. Oh hey, Dopefish! Is that the first appearance of Dopefish outside of a Commander Keen game? Neat. Anyways, I was saying, the game is pretty much just okay. I mean, there's nothing to unlock or upgrade. It's just a bunch of races on a bunch of tracks with a bunch of racers that all control the same. However, that's just the single player. There are a variety of multiplayer modes, both in split screen and online flavors, so whether you're playing in the same room or over a serial or modem connection, you can race against a friend and throw demon butts in each other's faces. You could also play a shootout mode, which turned the game into a one-on-one deathmatch, and is probably the best part of the game after the music. Other than Doom, I didn't really know of any games back then that let you do this, so head-to-head violence was always welcome, especially in study hall, on the DOS computers in high school that I was not supposed to install this on, but I did anyway. There was also a single-player shootout mode that let you practice on defenseless ducks, which is sure to appeal to anatidophobics the world over. Oh, and one more interesting thing before we're done. There's a chance you're looking at this going, this sure looks like another DOS kart racing game I know of, and if the game you're thinking of is Scunny Kart, then you'd be correct. In fact, they're closer relatives than you might realize, since the programmer of Wacky Wheels, Andy Edwardson, used to work for Copysoft, the folks behind the Scunny games and Scunny Kart. While he was still working there, he decided to build a game engine in his spare time, and this ended up forming the backbone of what would later become Wacky Wheels. But before that ever happened, he took a demo of this to Copysoft to gauge their interest in making a game out of his engine. They were absolutely interested, but the problem was Apogee Software was interested as well. After a disagreement over royalties, Mr. Edwardson decided to go with Apogee instead, and paid Copysoft for the use of their equipment while making the game. But just before Wacky Wheels was finished, Copysoft released Scunny Kart, shocking everyone. It turns out that Edwardson had left a copy of the source code with Copysoft when he left, and they in turn just used it outright to make a quick buck by applying some graphics from the Scunny games. Copysoft indeed. There was a happy ending though, since Wacky Wheels went on to sell rather well for Apogee, and retains a cult following to this day. And there is even an HD remake in the works by Cascadia Games, set to release in late 2015. It amuses me when shareware games get revisited and stay loved over all these years like this, so I'm definitely looking forward to the new one. As for the old one, it's still sold on services like GOG and Steam, as well as in the 3D Realms Anthology Pack, so if you feel like giving it a look, it's quite simple to do so nowadays. This is not something that I go back to play very often, but if anything, it's worth checking out just to take a peek back into a unique era in PC gaming history. Did this video leave you wanting more? Well, have I got a solution for you. LGR is a show that has new episodes every Monday and Friday, so you can subscribe to get more stuff like this, as well as a massive back catalog of stuff to view right now, so you can click on some of these to do that, or you can also check me out on Twitter and Facebook and Patreon if you'd like to do social things and get some extra perks like seeing videos early and all that. And as always, thank you very much for watching.